In this video, we're going to practice measuring area. So remember, area is a two-dimensional measurement. And what that means is that we could move in two different types of directions. So we could go up and down, and we can go right and left. Now typically, we don't have to, but typically when we measure area, we use square units because this has an attribute of measuring two different dimensions. We could use a unit like this and call it a C unit and count how many C units cover some amount of area, but it's not a very useful unit. So typically we just use squares, and then we could think of how many squares fill up some amount of space. We can make the squares different sizes, so just like we might measure in feet or yards, we can measure in a square whose all of its side lengths are 1 foot, which would be a square foot, or all of its sides are a yard, which would be a square yard. And we can do that with any linear unit, make a square that has all of its sides that one-dimensional unit. So first we're asked to create and shade two different shapes in the grids below that cover 9 square units. So I'd like you to pause the video and do this on your own, and then I'll share the different shapes that I made. So these are the two shapes I decided to make, and I am going to check that it is 9 square units, and I'd like you to do the same with your shapes. So I'm going to check. Here I made a square with a bunch of squares in it, and I'm going to count each of the square units. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 square units. And this shape looks very different, but it's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 square units. So double check now and that yours are also 9 units, and if not, you can adjust them. Let's look at the next example. Find the area of the shape in square inches. And so notice we have these squares, and we're told that this is 1 inch squared. So we say, these are the different ways we write it. Sometimes we use SQ for squared, or we may write the whole word square, 1 square inch. Also, sometimes we use IN for inch, sometimes we spell it out. So here I'll spell it out. Okay. And sometimes we use the exponent. So the exponent, we read this as 1 inch squared. Notice the square is applying to the unit, not to the number. Okay, so if we have 6 square inches, or 6, and we do say square in front of inches a lot, but the square is referring to the unit of measurement. That does not mean 36 anything. Okay, so this is our unit of measure, and the square is telling us that we're measuring it in squares that look like this. Okay, so to find this area, if I know that each square is 1 square inch, I'm just going to count them. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 square inches. So the area of this figure is 8 inches squared, or 8 square inches.